So we got ourselves a teachable moment here, okay? So this happened in Virginia City. This is the viral video. This is a racist piece of shit. He's flipping the guy off. This is where the video camera begins. Let's take a look.
Keep talking. And where the tree at to hang people at? Where is that? Where is the hanging tree at? In your backyard.
He's just saying dumb stuff. And then look at this guy. These are like little trolls, right? The little trolls live under a bridge. These people think that their genetics are better than everybody, but look at them.
You know what? That is horrible of you. It's just as human as I'm doing a job. And
he just said, you look like a scary motherfucker.
Oh, man. Come on. Get out of here. Get out of here. Man, you know what? When I'm not leaving, make me leave. Because I can't. I don't make trash. I burn it. That's 5th grade. And y'all laughing at this? And y'all laughing at this? This is what y'all like?
This is exactly what they're like. This is what they're like. This is what they get off to. This is all that they care about. Look how proud his face is. He is so proud of himself. And listen to how they're laughing. They're laughing like hyenas.
And all of y'all accepting it. That's right. That's right. We do.
Look, you see this guy? Look at all the people that's involved in this. He's having a great day, he says. They own this whole building, and so they're the landlords to the Firehouse Saloon. Built like a lemon, you got something. Look at
Are you along with them? Yes. Okay, but why is he being racist to me talking about there's a hanging tree down there? Are you along with that? Are you down with that as well?
And look, now she's just going to sit there and kind of push him. And he's like she's defending family. She's just pushing him, just kind of belly bumping him. And then they're like clapping, right? Yay, racism, racism. Off your property is a sidewalk. That ain't your property. The sidewalk ain't your property. Now that it's out in the middle of the street, what you doing now? Yeah, she's just trying to get him off the property. Listen to this dumb shit. They just make up shit.
You're wrong. You get out of my face.
You understand what that means? Do you know where you are? Do you know the history of the town?
Look at her. She is like being so condescending. Do you know where you are? This is KKK land. This is Confederate town, Naziville. What are you talking about? Don't you get it? She don't understand that Nevada's the battle-born state because Abraham Lincoln signed it into existence during the Civil War. It's the battle-born state. Do you know where this is? Yeah, racism is all over the fucking place, but are you trying to tell me that's what goddamn Virginia City is all about? It's just the racism? Look, he's so happy. He's so proud. Look, he's standing up now. Look at him. They're all in it on together. This is some Klan shit. This is Klan shit. This is why when people say that Caucasians have no culture, this is the culture that they got. Look, they're right there. He's having a good time. Look at that little troll right there. He's causing a and then she's talking all stupid. Do you got a mama? You're causing a big fuss. Just talking down to him like he's a pile of shit. She don't have no soul. She ain't got no conscience. She knows she's married to a racist and she ain't outright racist herself. And then people are just sitting there watching him, not saying shit. Don't tase me, bro. Gonna get tased. Everybody just stands around. Don't say a damn word. Nobody cares. I'm glad that the Attorney General here, I got one more thing too. Eventually these guys are going to get arrested. They're going to get arrested. And look, she's still happy, right? Oh, she's a white woman. The law don't apply to her. I've heard a white woman say that. The law don't apply to her. She gets to do and act as stupid as she wants to, commit whatever crime she wants to. And he's like, who, me? I didn't do nothing. Who, me? And then look, the daughter actually seems like, man, I don't want to have to go through this shit. She's happy as hell, though. She just cheesing. She don't care if she's been arrested. She don't care for her daughter's sake or her neighbors. These Karens are out of control. When I think about Israel just bombing the shit out of Palestine, just bombing. Oh, nothing ain't going. And then they act like they're the victim, right? They act like they're the biggest victims out here when they're the most insane and violent ones out here. So they're the Millers. Meet the Millers, everybody. Meet the Millers. And then just keep on with her bullshit until what? I mean, what if the black man didn't walk away? He was talking to the guy, being like, make me, what you gonna do? And then she made him, right? Pushed him out. And then I've seen some other reports. They're just a bunch of liars, man. The damn media is just a bunch of liars. But she just still proud of the chaos and the injuries she herself created. And, because you're a woman, you'll get the attention of men and you'll get the admiration of women. And you would think that being a good person should matter. You would think that your character should matter. You don't judge people by the color of the skin, but by the content of their character. But she's just happy she's a racist piece of shit. I'm a racist piece of shit. I sure love being a racist. I sure love it. I don't care. I get arrested. I'll come back out. It doesn't matter to me. Nothing will ever happen to me. Nothing will ever happen to me. And I see a lot of these Karens a lot of time. This is a teachable moment. And really I want to talk about natural law versus constitutional law. Because, if let's presume that people are saying that they're racist. And the reason why they're racist is because, the media or whatever, they say, oh, well, the stereotypes, right? Black folks, violent, stealing, not working, stupid shit like that. But let's presume that you don't want people to be violent and lazy. You don't want them out there committing crimes. You don't want people to kill or steal or do arson. You don't want them to assault or abuse or torture, enslave, rape, kidnap, or bear false witness. Let's pretend you don't want all those things to happen. If that's the God's honest truth, well, what's so great is about natural law. Let me read you a couple quotes of what natural law is. Okay, so Samuel Adams, he says, among the natural rights of the colonists are this: a right to life, a right to liberty, and a right to property, together with the right to support and defend them in the best manner that they can. These are evident branches of, rather than deductions from, the duty of self-preservation, commonly called the first law of nature. All men have a right to remain in a state of nature as long as they please, and in case of intolerable oppression, civil or religious, to leave the society that they belong to and enter into another. When men enter into society, it's by voluntary consent. They have a right to demand and insist upon the performance of such conditions and previous limitations as form an equitable original compact. Every natural right not expressly given up or from the nature of a social compact necessarily ceded remains. I got two quotes from Hamilton's Farmer Refuted, but let me just talk for a second. And so, in the Declaration, it says that we got a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, if you don't want people committing crimes, if you don't want them to bear false witness or kidnap or rape or enslave, you don't want, black, white, or brown people to torture, to abuse, to assault, to arson, to steal, or to kill. You don't want any of this to happen. Well, what you do want them to do is for them to be constitutional. What are you allowed to do? Well, there are ways to resist, right? We can peacefully assemble. We can petition. We have the right to speak. And actually, here's a whole bunch of freedoms here. I'm going to read, a handful. Freedom from bills of attainder, right to a habeas corpus hearing. Freedom from false charges of treason, a right to a jury trial in all criminal proceedings. Freedoms from titles of nobility, the right to contracts. Freedom from ex post facto laws. Freedom from establishment of religion. Freedom of religion. So you could do religion. Freedom of speech. You could speak. Freedom of the press. You could go to the press. Right to peacefully assemble. The right to petition. The right to bear arms. The right to join a militia. These are constitutional freedoms. Freedom from quartering soldiers. So you have a right to go home. Freedom from unreasonable search and seizures. Freedom from frivolous and arbitrary felony charges. In the grand jury indictment. So no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. That's the Fifth Amendment. That's the first clause to the Fifth Amendment. Freedom from double jeopardy, the right to remain silent, the right to due process. So these freedoms, you don't want people to go around and commit crimes. You don't want them to be a bunch of terrorists, oppressors, criminal pieces of shit. You don't want them to kill, steal, rape, arson, assault. You don't want that to happen. Well, then you do want them to petition. You want them to peacefully assemble. You want them to petition. You want them to march peacefully, go to the media, to use their words, the freedom to speak, the right to go home, the right to remain silent. You want them to do that. The right to due process, the right to a public trial, to an impartial jury. So this is what you would want. And that's the whole thing about natural law. So with Hobbes says that when it comes to natural law, that you have man versus man. It's going to be every man versus every man. Because if every person is sitting there doing whatever the hell that they want to do, and if they deduce that they have a right to everybody and everything everywhere, that's natural law. So because I am man, because I'm going to preserve myself, and I have no notions of right or wrong, well, I just get all this, right? We shall inherit the earth. So God wanted us to go forth and multiply. So what am I saying? I'm saying this. Natural law says that we have a right to everything, everybody, everywhere. But that's a bad thing, says Hobbes, because everybody has that right. You got that right, but so does that person have that right. And a right to everything, a right to everybody and everything everywhere, well, that's going to be a war of all against all. And if you have a war of all against all, well, guess what that's going to turn into? According to Hobbes, we're going to have a short life. We're going to have a solitary, brutish, poor, nasty, and short life. We're not going to have any culture, no industry, no civilization, no building, no infrastructure. It's just a war of everybody versus everybody, every man versus every man. That's what the state of nature is. So yeah, you have the right to everything, but everybody has a right to everything. So therefore, it's going to be a big old, it's going to be a big old brawl. It's going to be a big old civil war. It's just going to be a big old bloody mess. So that's why you don't want people to be in natural law. I bet you she thinks she can do the fuck as she pleases, right? She has a right to everybody, everything, all the fucking time, everywhere, right? All the time, everywhere, everybody, everything. She has a right to it all. She has all the natural laws, right? So women have rights too. So that means men and women, if we're going to do this natural law stuff, then it's just going to be a short, poor, nasty, Brutus, and solitary world. It's just going to be every person against every person, and it's going to be terrible. But if we want civilization, okay, don't do this, don't kill, don't steal, don't arson, don't assault, don't abuse, don't torture, don't enslave, don't rape, don't kidnap, don't bear false witness. But you do have a right to petition. You do have a right to peacefully assemble, the right to speak, the right to religion, and the right to petition. And then if you look at Griswold, I want to say it's the Griswold decision. It says that if you have a right to petition, well, that means you got a right to do all the things in order to petition. So that means I have a right to go up to you and say, hey, I have a petition. Would you like to sign it? No, I don't want to sign it. Get the hell out of here. Then I have to, pretty much respect that. But I get to ask you if you want to sign my petition. So if you want people not criminalizing, if you want people not terrorizing and not being oppressors, then you would want them to go around passing a petition. You would want them to go around passing a petition. And what's even sucks even worse, like I used to get signatures, and black folks would sign a petition, and half the white folks are just so damn rude about it. So it's almost like, what, you don't want any money? You don't want me to do this or do that? You just want me to sign this little thing for you? So it's very important. It's very important that we get onto constitutional law. It's very important that we worship our laws, that we have a political religion when it comes to our laws. Here in America, we're going to throw out the preamble. We're going to throw out everything that we got just because people want to act stupid and crazy and they're dumb and mean, and they've been getting away with being dumb and mean their entire lives. We got a right to just compensation for eminent domain, right to a public trial, impartial jury, the right to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, the right to confront witnesses, the right to subpoena, the right to have assistance of counsel for defense in suits at common law for issues of $20 or more. The right of trial by jury shall be preserved. Freedom from re-examination after $20 civil trial, 7th Amendment. Enumeration of express freedoms doesn't negate implied freedoms. What does that mean? Well, you got a right to self-defense at the very least. But Hobbes's 24 laws of nature is you got a right to peace, a right to self-defense, a right to contract, social contract, impartial mediators. He actually deduces a whole bunch of stuff because he says you got a right to contract, and since therefore you got a right to contract, then you need a sovereign to enforce that contract. And what else does that mean? Well, that means you got a right to air, locomotion, water, fire, bodily autonomy. Freedom to take the powers that the federal government doesn't have. Freedom from excessive bail. Freedom from excessive fines. Freedom from cruel and unusual punishments. They're sitting there just making fun of him, and it's actually so adorable because it seems like the black man has had a decent, charmed life. And so the idea that anybody would just treat him like he's a piece of shit, it's like, I dressed real nice, I approached you real nice, you could just say, no thank you, I'm not interested. But instead the guy calls him an N-word and says, hey, I got a hanging tree. I got a hanging tree for you. And then they're all like laughing, I'm having a great day. Man, it's such a great day. So the Constitution says we have a right to vote, the right to equal protection of the laws, the right to equal protection of the laws. So nobody is allowed to kill, steal, arson, assault, or abuse, and everybody has a right to petition. And since you have a right to petition, then you have all the rights so you can petition. The idea is to petition the government, but you got to get the signatures. Here, I got 1,000 signatures. Here's the government. Now, change your ways. Freedom from Confederates, rebels, and insurrectionists. Freedom from 3-term presidencies. The right of birthright citizenship. The right of the people to vote for their reps and senators. Freedom from Congress giving themselves the right to a post office box. The right to make, drink, and buy alcohol. So let's take a look at the Farmer Refuted. I got these 2 quotes by Alexander Hamilton. And the Farmer Refuted, and he is saying, upon this law depend the natural rights of mankind. The Supreme Being gave existence to man. Together with the means of preserving and beautifying that existence, he endowed him with rational faculties, by the help of which to discern and pursue such things as were consistent with his duty and interest, and invested him with an inviolable right to personal liberty and personal safety. Hence, in a state of nature, no man had any moral power to deprive another of his life, limbs, property, or liberty, nor the least authority to command to exact obedience from him, except that which arose from the ties of consanguinity. So we have a right. This is natural rights, and it's important to understand natural rights, because if we don't have constitutional rights, then we're going to go to this war of everybody versus everybody. It's not just anarchy where there's no government. It's violent anarchy. It's a civil war. It's a violent anarchy. So, in the state of nature, because it's every man versus every man, no culture, no industry, no civilizations, you're solitary, brutish, poor, nasty, short little lives. If you want to do this natural law bullshit, then you're getting away from the Constitution. You're getting away from America. And America, it's beautiful. The way that we've set up the Constitution, it's absolutely beautiful. In the preamble, it says we're going to protect justice, protect the general welfare, protect domestic tranquility, and to protect our freedoms. So, when it comes to society and natural law, well, you have a state of nature. We're all born in a state of nature where you have a right to everything, right? And you'll probably just kind of stay over there by your tree and not do anything, but you have a right to enter into the society. And you don't lose your natural rights when you enter into the society unless specifically it says you don't have those rights. By entering into America, you have a right to petition, you have a right to peacefully assemble, you have a right to speak. And we have to protect those freedoms because that's the whole point of the whole fucking government. The whole fucking government is to protect our freedoms. And if you want to say to people, what are we supposed to do? Don't do this, don't do that. What are we supposed to do? It tells us what we're supposed to do. So that's why Abraham Lincoln says that we should turn our laws into a political religion, because our laws are beautiful, our laws are wonderful, our laws are incredible. But if people want to go out around here and do whatever the fuck they want to do, kill, steal, arson, assault, just push people on the streets, abuse them, torture them, enslave, rape, kidnap, and then bear false witness to the whole damn thing, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit. Let's read a couple more of these freedoms and then let's get the hell out. The right to an appeal, the freedom from poll taxes, freedom from slavery, the right to freedom itself, the right to life, and the right to property. The right to property comes from the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says that you can make and enforce a law of abuse. The state cannot deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. That's 14th Amendment. The 5th Amendment says that no person shall, no person shall, nor shall any person be subject to, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. So they're both pretty much say the same thing. One, apparently, that's about the state versus the federal government, something like that. The preamble says we have a right to establish justice. We have a right to ensure domestic tranquility. We have a right to form a more perfect union. We have a right to promote the general welfare, to provide for the common defense. And then individual freedoms via state restrictions. We have freedom from state invasion. Nebraska can't invade Florida. We have freedom from state currency. You can't have California printing up a bunch of California dollars. Freedom from the states issuing letters of marque and reprisal, and freedom from the states issuing bills of credit. Then you also have the SCOTUS. The Supreme Court's created a couple freedoms. The right to contraception, the right to be not sterilized, the right to refuse life-saving drugs, the right to refuse forced surgery or drugging, the right to educate one's child, the right to live with one's relative, the right to marry, and da-da-da-da-da. That's just the American freedoms. If you live in Nevada, you got a state constitution. So your whole bushel of freedoms is the U.S. Constitution combined with the state's constitutional freedoms. And you want people to read the laws so that way they know what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. If you're not even reading the laws, what are you doing? Whatever the fuck you feel like, whatever the hell you feel like, and whatever you can get away with, say you're just a criminal piece of shit, you're a terrorist, oppressor, criminal motherfucker. And if this wasn't being recorded, then they laugh at him, they treat him like shit, they laugh like a bunch of jackals, like a bunch of hyena motherfuckers, and then he just goes away, and then they had themselves a good old fucking time. These motherfuckers have no culture. This is some sick shit. This is no conscience. There's a vacuum here. There's no culture here. It's disgusting. I recognize a lot of this shit, and I can't stand this shit. I can't stand this shit. Some constitutions say we even have a right to revolution. Property, safety, happiness, security, absolute and arbitrary power denied. So that's the importance of natural law. That's the importance of constitutional law superseding natural law. If everybody's just doing as the fuck as they please, then that means it's whatever they make up. Natural law is actually rational, man. You got things that's embedded you, but it's also rational, man. What can rational man understand? And so this stuff's important, because if you don't want a war of all against all, well, then you want the black man to petition. If you don't want a war of all against all, where there's just a bunch of crimes and a bunch of terrorism and a bunch of oppressor pieces of shit, you want them to peacefully, you want everybody, if you want to resist or speak up, you want people, you want Americans to peacefully assemble. You want Americans to petition and to peacefully assemble. The right to religion. You want Americans to do their constitutional freedoms. You don't want them making up a bunch of criminal shit and doing their criminal bullshit. That's going to be a war of all against all. And like I said, it's going to make life short, brutish, and terrible and awful, solitary, and it'll be awful. It'll be terrible. It'll be the worst thing in the world. Hobbes came out of the English Civil War, so that's what he understands, That's what Hobbes